Already, we'll make a start. Well, welcome everyone here to our August council meeting of the Western Shire. Anyone who can stand, would stand, right? With acknowledgement of the friend.
The West Wimmera Shire Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and pays respect to others past, present, and emerging. Let us pray. Almighty God, we humbly ask your blessing upon this council, guide and prosper our decisions to the advancement of your glory and the true welfare of the people of West Wimmera Shire. Amen.
Amen.
So apologies. 4.2, leave of absence. 4.3, does anyone have a conflict of interest they need to declare? Not, we move to item 5.1, written questions on notice. Have we received any written questions on notice? No. 5.2, verbal questions without notice. We have a recommendation there.
I'm happy to move. Well, Jody, you were first.
Seconded by Councillor Pretlow. Any discussion required?
No.
No.
If not, no objection, that is carried. Council has now suspended standing orders, which will give the gallery an opportunity to ask questions. There are rules still, even though there's no standing orders, there is definitely rules. So you must ask a question and it must be a question. You may ask 2 questions each. Before you ask your question, please say your name and your location where you live for the minutes. And if we need to respond to you, we take the question on notice. Again, we will not take questions that are defamatory. We will not take questions that are abusive. And we may just shut down. It's a privilege for us as council to take questions, so please respect that. Are there any questions from the gallery? Yes, Danny.
Hi, I'm Danny Greenway and I live in Edenhope. I just wanted to confirm on the public record some of the details around council's decision to outsource our maternal and child health services. So Mr. Mayor, Tim Mear said in this very room that outsourcing would not happen without community support. Council staff went on to hold 3 public meetings in Goroke, Kaniva and Edenhope, where community members were overtly and overwhelmingly against the proposal to outsource this service. Despite the community members' wishes, 3 out of our 5 councillors voted to outsource the service. But in the days after this vote, Councillor Tom Houlihan received many a phone call and had a change of heart after speaking to community members. And so he reportedly attempted to reverse this decision, but was told by council staff that a reversal was not possible. And just to note, this was less than 5 days after the voting and the decision had been made. So thus, council, I believe, is now working to outsource this essential service, despite objections from the majority of our councillors and strong objections from the community. I note that the public meetings, we had 1 councillor, Helen Hobbs, attend in Edenhope. The other councillors weren't there. I don't believe our mayor went to any of the public meetings about this matter. I note there was a report from a staff member detailing what was in the meeting with comments that I took offence to, such as we need to assess whether the views of these public meetings reflect that of the community. That's just making a point there. And a side note, I wondered if there were any letters in support of outsourcing maternal child health or any evidence that anyone in the community wanted to outsource maternal and child health services. So my question is, could councillors and or staff confirm this outline of events and comment on the validity of our community consultation on this matter?
When you asked whether we received any letters of any support at all, when we first put this out to consultation, we received 6 responses. 3 said, no, don't do it. 1 said, yes, do it. Another one said, I don't really like it, but I can understand why you're doing it. And another one was just an abusive tirade. So we did receive mixed responses to begin with. It hasn't just been an all one-way street. It hasn't just been an echo chamber of people just saying no, 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 no. There's been support in the community. I even received quite a lot of support personally on Saturday when I spoke to another others about it. So it hasn't been that the community is 100% against it or anything like that. Look, as for all the other questions, we'll take that on notice. Is there any other questions?
I would just like to respond. I went to Baroque, I couldn't get here, and each of the mothers or the families there were actually supportive of the change of where they're going with their health organisation.
That's a little bit off
I
track
did go
there. It's
there.
about the outsourcing of
That's-
maternal and child health services, and those 4 parents that went to Grok have spoken to me, so I'm just
Okay.
confused about your point. Sorry.
That's all I can say. I was there in person.
We're not here to debate. Just if there's any other questions.
Yeah, I've got my second question is following on from that first question. So parents, again, we've been told that our outsourcing of kindergartens and Eden Hope's Childcare Centre would not happen without community support. The same message that we received before maternal and child health services were outsourced, despite our lack of support. Can we expect that our concerns, our pleas and our collective voice will again be dismissed and disregarded by our elected representatives?
We'll take that on notice. Any other questions?
Yeah, Gary Dickerson from Modulate. I'm just wondering where the West Wimmera Shire sits on homelessness in the West Wimmera. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, okay, yeah, yes. Again, we are aware that there are people in our shire who are facing difficult circumstances. Look, we are supportive of new houses, we're supporting of people trying to find accommodation. It's not an easy thing to unlock. It's
I find it a little bit amazing that a man, Mr. Galambis,
Yeah.
is in a caravan on his own property, on the Galambis family property, and facing fines of near on 30,000. And, you know, would it be more appropriate if he rented a tent and put it out in front of the office here or not?
again, I don't think the two situations, I don't think perhaps you're quite explaining the situation correctly, because the fines are related to another planning matter.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but it's still, you know, if he gets kicked off, where's he going?
Yeah, and again, he has a caravan, and there is a caravan park in Arrow, and that is an option. Again, I know it's not ideal, and I wish there was more we could do. You know, with the planning matters, we can't actually discuss that here during the session, I'm afraid. But that is the big problem here. Like, a planning application was received and it was rejected by council on safety grounds. We can't just say everyone has a right to build a house because they're going to be homeless, because what happens when something floods? Like,
But if it's all to the right level, it should be fine, shouldn't it?
well, that's what, if that's the advice we receive.
If it's the
then
same
fine.
level as the library, it should be fine, shouldn't it?
The Water Catchment Authority objected to the plans, and for reasons that were quite clear in that application. So
So there's a fair risk the library's going to flood as well, is that what you're saying?
that is possible.
Yeah.
We have just
Why is the
undertaken a
library
process.
still there then?
Again, we have to accept the expert advice on this stuff. Yeah. Tom?
As I've said before, the expert advice from the Water Catchment Authority, they're the same people that flooded us out last time. We had high water approximately 14 years ago. We were in a meeting in the hall trying to get something done about it, and then it was revealed by the Water Catchment Authority that the weir at Rocklands was open, and here we've got rising water in the township of Harrow. Got that switched off, it immediately stopped. So you've got to be careful with this Water Catchment Authority and how reliable they are and how good they are at their job. I really think they're the people that have got to be looked into very solidly. Thank you.
Sorry, Tom. I just feel that, you know, council taking the Galambis family to VCAT using taxpayer money, like ratepayer money, I should say, like, you know, under the circumstances, I don't think that's real, you know, it's not Not on just terms if Darrell Kerrigan was here.
Yeah, I know. Look, but again, there's a lot of things we can't really get into, but there was a series of steps leading to that, and there was a lot of opportunities where it could have ended a lot sooner, and a lot more equitable outcome may have occurred, but certain parties didn't choose that course, so it's unfortunate.
So it's Mr. Gillespie's fault, is that what you're saying?
Look, that's what VCAT has found, and we can only follow what VCAT finds.
But you're saying the course right along. It could have been a different outcome.
Look, we're getting into a debate here on matters we can't actually discuss right now. Any further questions?
Zola Galambis from Harrow. I am the unfortunate person who has gone through, together with my partner here, on our own block of land in the caravan, as everyone is probably aware. We have been fined $30,000 through our loss at VCAT. And whilst I appreciate the council trying to bring that down to around the $20,000 mark, we are unable to pay, and we're not in the situation where we've got that sort of money. And my question to council would be, is there any leniency on that to withdraw the fine, since it is actually taxpayers' money and it is the community's money that you're asking back in this case?
Again, we can't give you an answer to that question here right now. It's not a matter we can discuss right now. We're happy to bring it to a forum to discuss amongst council at a future date.
Just my second question then, please, Mr. Mayor. The Township of Harrow, as the councillors may be aware, did do a flood mitigation proposal that was done and approved by both the CMA, the Shire, the state government. There was an approval for a levy bank right across the eastern flank of Harrow, and it was never completed. Now, from my understanding, having talked to the community of Harrow, everyone in the community of Harrow was for this levy bank. There is an excerpt in the flood report that said that it was the community's decision not to go ahead with the levy bank based on aesthetics. That turns out to be incorrect when you talk to anyone in the Harrow community. My question to council is, will council reconsider and go ahead with this levy bank that was already approved, and on the basis that in terms of funding, it turns out that it is the state government that would provide funding for a levy bank. Everything else, the reports have already gone ahead and been concluded and supported and accepted and approved. It really just needs to go from council to state government and say, yep, can we get this done? Will council consider that?
Look, we're happy to consider all options, but again, while I'm not aware of that, and again, you'd probably appreciate if a lot of these approvals may be past their valid date and all that as well, so there may be more work to look at there as well. So we are happy to consider it.
Take it on notice.
Yeah, take that on notice. Yeah.
Can I just ask a procedural question about questions on notice? When do we get this response, and is it publicly available? Some of us are representing a group of people who would like a public response to these questions.
You will receive a response in due course once our people had a chance to prepare a response.
In writing or?
In writing.
And public, or?
Once the letter's yours, you can do what you like with it.
But I'm asking a council make the public. Last time I had a question on notice, I had to follow up several times to get a response, and I didn't get a full response. So I'm just curious.
No, we'll do our best to provide a response. That's all
It
we
goes
can.
back to the people who've asked it, to the person who've asked the question.
Okay, so the only way it's public is if I then make it public.
So on the homeless question, if you had someone camped out the front of the council here, the office, do I get a response on that or not? Like how does that sit? You sort of give us a clear view on that.
Well, again, we have local laws people camping in Crown Land and public spaces and stuff like that as well. So that was probably how we would handle the matter, because that is the directions that the staff have to follow. Look, what my personal views are and all that sort of thing, like no one wants to see someone homeless.
No, they don't. No.
We 100% agree.
In Melbourne, if that was the case, they'd be
Yeah.
sent around to a soup kitchen and given a tent.
Yes.
Swag. Not told to get off your own land and,
Well,
while he's wanting to build a modest home.
yeah, and again, there's a process that you have to follow to build a modest home and all the rest of it as well. And we as council, we might not necessarily agree with all the planning scheme things, but it's our job to make sure that they have to be done and followed. It's a really tough thing. Like our planning scheme is about 847 pages
I'm
long.
well aware of that.
And there's only about 2 pages in it that the Shire actually have set for themselves. The rest of it is all the state government's laws that we have to follow.
Yeah.
And again, worst case scenario, somebody builds in a flood zone. Who do you think is going to be liable at the end of the day? If someone loses their house or worse, loses their life, who do you think is going to be liable? And that's the thing that we have to be mindful of as well.
Is that what this is about? Like if Mr. Galambus's new home gets flooded, you're worried about being liable or what? Like, wouldn't it be more? on
If
Mr.
we
Galambus?
receive a recommendation to say it's unsafe, and we proceed with it,
But
and then it
the
floods.
library's still there.
It's already there.
No, we're debating completely irrelevant point there.
Well, it is relevant, isn't it?
Well, the library was built well before any of these planning schemes were probably in place.
Has it ever flooded?
No.
But again, we've got the flood studies to show all these things. So
Tom is saying that it's never flooded, so is there a real issue? But anyway,
we'll move on. Any else questions? Yeah.
Alan Dickerson, Mind You Like. I understand when Zolly put in a application to remain in his caravan until his house was built. Council never had well, I think initially they gave him a form to open a caravan park, which he didn't want to do. He just wanted to permit to live in his van until his house was built. Council don't have an application form for that, and I think Zolly went ahead and had 3, was it, other forms from other councils. Now, I understand that you probably don't like the letterhead on the other forms and they're not relevant, but how come council hasn't got availability to make an application for that when other councils do?
Again, we can look into that. We will need to amend our local laws to do that.
I reckon you should get the hat out and wave the magic wand and come up with an application form. It'd be a good idea.
That is something we can consider.
I'm feeling this in this, I'm feeling where you're coming from totally. The report that we get from council, which is, I think there were 9 reasons that the catchment authority
Decline the application.
So that puts us in a huge position. Yes, I'm hearing, that this hasn't flooded, the library hasn't flooded.
Sorry, but one of the reasons was vision. I didn't meet the council's vision. What's that?
Elaborate. I'd love to know.
Make it an official question.
Yeah.
Say
I'd love to know. Sharon Grigg, Harrow, I'd love to know on that as far as.
At one point.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
What's the vision?
Well, can we just have that as a reply, to what that,
We'll take that on notice, yeah.
Yeah,
Take
but
it notice.
we've got 8 more then, and it is a very low part on vision when we all look.
Mhm.
Where does insurance come into these things? What are we liable for? There is a lot, that.
Harrow is not going to have insurance. Most people in Harrow don't have insurance.
That's right.
We're aware of that. And that's fine. That's a risk that we take living on an area, you know, such as it is around Harrow. The people on top of the hill aren't getting insurance and they're way above flood level. It's not about the insurance. And in terms of council's liability, I'm sorry, I know it's not a question, but the CMA is just a referral authority. It's not a deciding authority.
No, but when they give their advice, we have to listen. And if we choose to ignore it, then we are liable. That is what it comes down to. This time.
Keep saying we've got to listen to this catchment management authority. My experience with them, they've flooded us out once deliberately. And they're not the people we should be listening to. They're not the people we should be relying on. Because if we do, their previous record says we'll get flooded out again through their mismanagement. And nobody can argue with that. It's just a fact that happened approximately 14 years ago.
Are there any further questions? If not, is anyone prepared to resume standing orders? You go.
We might have some other questions.
Can't hear what you're saying.
Lockie, have you got a question for us?
Yes.
Yes.
What's the year going to do? We're going to get enough water.
I hope it rains, and I hope it rains a lot. We always want to see that.
Next week.
It's been encouraging. I noticed water around the drains in Charlie Grove on the way up here, so that is encouraging. Hopefully the drains up the back here are starting to fill up. If we can get
I believe there's plenty of water in Harrow.
Yeah.
That it needs the sand taken out of it.
Right, yeah.
And would the council be interested in looking into a program to do it? It'll tie in with a lot of other things, but
it's
to talk to you here and now, I can hear you talking, but a lot of what you're saying I can't hear.
Right, yeah. Well, just to be clear, the river is not the council's responsibility, but we're more than happy to advocate for it to be cleaned out. We know that Kabungi's got to get out of it.
Yeah,
And,
all these things.
yeah.
I have been in touch with the Glenelg River Environmental Water Advisory Group. And their reply to me was, it's going to cost a lot of money, which we haven't got, but if you can get the money, we'll work with you.
Yeah. That's a fairly common with a lot of our requests these days.
Yeah.
Look, a lot of people in the community have great ideas, but as soon as you take it up the chain, they say, great, we love it, but we don't have any money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A difficult one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Richard Penny from Edenhope.
Yep.
When there's been lots of questions asked that I've heard of about what's happening in council, but we never ever hear anything come back like in a local paper or anything like that. You hardly hear anyone's requests coming back to us. All we need is to know something, rather than not know. Not knowing is far worse than knowing.
Yeah, I know there's a problem where people are very quick to spread rumours on Facebook, and it's pretty hard for us to counter that at times. I get all that, and you know, we do try our hardest to let people know what's going on. If you have any suggestions on how would you like to receive more information? How can we contact you better?
Well, just in the local paper.
Yeah.
Just a little column saying council has done this.
Yeah. No,
simple.
Okay, that's a good idea. We'll have a chat with Elena and see what we can come up with. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. But you know, everyone across the Shire's got different ways of getting this information, so that's something we've got to work on. I appreciate that.
Most people here, and even at least, I don't know if the book, does the paper go down your way? Our local paper?
Well, we can get it, yeah.
Online or.
Yeah, how happening.
With Danny Hill's question before, can the responses be like?
We've got a website. Can there not be a public response?
Put it out there for everyone to see. Is that doable?
We can consider that.
Obviously, you know, because a lot does go on the website, but obviously a lot don't, you know, that's not for everybody, obviously. So the echo, this has come up, believe me, in the last, you know, couple of weeks, forum, whatever. I'm hearing that as well. So it's been brought up, you know, between us. We've been discussing, and more to get out there, because it's really important that the exact what's going on is out on the street and not hearsay. Exactly, because, you know, so I've had conversations with David. We've talked about it at the forum. So I feel like there's more getting out there, but it's probably only website. So I think that it's just a definite in the echo, and obviously Harrow happening. Even a flyer monthly.
Simple.
Exactly, just in each paper.
Nothing complicated.
Totally agree.
Yeah, Richard.
Certainly in the past, I think here and other councils definitely have run a regular messages from the mayor or, you know, the mayor's page or whatever, which is an opportunity particularly to get out what council's doing and thinking for those people who aren't perhaps on social media such as Facebook or those sorts of things. I think we tend to think that everyone's on Facebook these days, but there's a large proportion of the community, especially some of the older people, who find, you know, the more modern forms of media a little bit overwhelming. And I think there is a need for having the good old print where you can sit and read it, public news releases from council, but also to continue to do the Facebook type releases. So I think, you know, maybe council, we can discuss whether we can expand the multiple media venues to get out the truth, sort of like the real news, because as we've said, there's always a lot of rumor going around, and that often overwhelms what's really happening, and that often causes dissatisfaction between the council, if you like, and the community, and that doesn't help anyone.
Because the rumours start because we don't have the facts.
You don't have news, and so the rumour mill starts churning around. But yes, I agree. We have an obligation in some ways to improve communication.
Yeah, if councillors want to have a discussion with the gallery later on, I think we can do it then. I don't think we need to have a full discussion now. But look, just to your point quickly, like, you know, the lie spreads around the world quicker than you can put your trousers on. So that's what we often face, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or take them off.
Direct quotes aren't lies though, so some of it's quite true. And if
Quotes taken out of
that's our
context.
only avenue,
You've had enough to say.
please tell me when that you were taken out of context. It's easy for you to.
Somebody's
call
asking you a
more
question.
on
If you want to
Facebook.
stop interrupting the meeting, please.
In regard to council's vision for Harrow, where the discussion so far has been about Colin and Darren's house on their block of land. If anybody in Harrow wants to build a house, what are the ramifications of, have there been any new houses built in Harrow? If so, how long ago? And if someone wanted to build one, put in an application, are they going to go through all this stuff?
There is a building permit process and a planning permit process,
And is it,
and that's the same anywhere across the Shire. It's not just Harrow.
and have there been applications there that have been knocked back? Because, you know, what I'm meaning, is it a can-do type of a thing, or is?
Look, I know of one person who wanted to build a house, and because it was zoned farming, they were told they did not have it as a right. They then did not follow up and get a planning permit. If they had applied for a planning permit, there's every chance they could have built a house.
So there's a fair rigmarole, is what you're saying, to go through.
Look, everyone who builds a house has to go through this, unfortunately. A lot of people go through it with no worries at all. Some people would choose to employ consultants to do it.
Is it particularly difficult in Harrow versus, say, Enoch or Coniver or Oak?
No, it's the same the Shire over, and it will depend on your overlays and things like that on your particular property. Certain properties might have bushfire overlays, certain ones might have red-tailed cockatoo overlays. There's all sorts of overlays that can impact you. And unfortunately, we as a council don't set that.
Sorry,
We as a council don't set those overlays, but we have to follow the rules.
who does set the
The state government.
That's state government. Yes.
State government. We can apply to put some if we wanted to, but we've never ever wanted to. Yeah, Tom?
It is difficult to build a house in Harrow. I've got 3-acre blocks on the 5th level, the top of town. I've built on one. I can't get a permit to build on the other two. Side by side they are. All join each other. Can't. So the answer to the question here was, is it difficult to build in Harrow? Yes, it is. Whether you're down on level 1 or whether you're up on level 5.
That was the question that I was trying to get to.
Yeah, but I don't believe it's any more difficult there than anywhere else. I think you don't have it as a right, Tom, in your properties because they're farming zone. But if you apply for a planning permit, it would be okay. Like,
Even in farming zone.
even in farming zone. Anyone can build a house, but if you don't have it as a right, you have to get a planning permit. We aren't actively stopping people. We just tell people, you put in the application, and if it meets the criteria and we're told it's safe, then we'll happily support it. Yes?
Yep, Sharon Green, Harrow. This question wasn't answered at the last committee meeting that they had, that council meeting in Harrow. Now, the eastern side of Harrow, has that been zoned from LSIO to flood overlay? Can you answer that?
I'm not aware of that. I'll have to take that on notice.
I don't think so.
We're going through the process.
That's what I thought, yeah. It's in the process at stage. Yeah.
That was a topic, a question asked at the Harrow meeting back in, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it wasn't answered.
And nothing, no answer there.
From who in
I think,
particular?
Jody might have said something about it, was it 500 mil or?
No, I think in the whole overlay, again, we're probably getting off here, but a whole overlay, it was increased, or the what do you say, not the in depth, it was in distance, was about 0.5 metre.
But that would vary depending on the.
But that was, do you know, and in all of this is the thing that makes and continually is increasing. And I think everyone in this room would know, in their own farming businesses or whatever businesses, there continues to be further and further regulations and red tape. That's all the state government. And the only way we're going to change this, and I hope everyone in this room thinks really hard about how they vote, because I can see an absolute disaster and it's not far away. And, you know, we are absolutely hamstrung in some of this stuff. So, and all of these regulations are coming from up here. So I don't know how we stop it. I think there's only one way. Has it gone too far? I don't like what it's doing. I really don't. And when we talk overlays, you know, it was, Tim might have said, you know, flood overlays, bushfire overlays, red-tailed black cockatoo overlays. You can't tell me they just stop in a line where they're flying. Like, you know, it's rubbish. But this is what's put upon us. So, you know.
And is that something that council can put?
Not if things are absolutely. There are certain things in this planning scheme that we cannot change. And it's lawyers and things getting too smart. It's insurance companies not not covering people. It just goes on, and it's people getting money for jam.
It's the state government that's put that whole planning scheme on the West Wimmera, or not? It is.
Pretty much. A lot of it is. There's little bits.
Little bits.
Yep.
The only bits in it that I think we've got in it separately is, in the industrial estates, you've got to have a black chain mail fence 2 metres high, and you've got to have a little small garden on the industrial thing. I think that's about the only thing.
There's not too much.
Other than that, it's all state regulations.
Yeah. And is there any federal laws of what?
No. So there's federal environment laws that may come into these things, but planning is a state matter.
It's interesting to see the respect some people are given, that you're happy to have a conversation with, and the disrespect that others have been treated. Thank you.
Interrupting council meetings Well, if you're gonna act disrespectfully, that's how you get treated. Are there any further questions? Yes,
Now, I'm Graham Holmes, and I own the truck depot in Harrow.
Yep.
Now, I had a house in front of my depot, which was demolished about 10 years ago. Now, I intend to put another house there. Now, first of all, the first question is, if I apply for a permit, that will cost me money.
yeah, I believe that is correct.
How much money?
Again, the state government actually sets the fees. I think it's around
Yeah,
1,300 anyway.
Again, they're assessed on the application.
Yeah, it's per application. Again, we do know it's not cheap. Again, council doesn't even set those fees. We'd like it to be $50, but it's not, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if I apply for a permit, it's on that flood zone on that side of the river. I don't know whether you know the truck depot in Harrow.
Yeah.
Right, and there used to be a house there. So I demolished the house about 10 years ago. And so if I want to put another house there, I've got to get a permit, as you know.
Yeah.
So I actually shouldn't have any trouble in getting a permit there, should I?
So long as you meet the conditions.
As long as
you meet the conditions and there's no objections.
Yeah.
And again, I can't give you advice now as well.
No. So, and I just don't know whether that area of the street on that side has been zoned flood zone or not. And no one seems to be able to tell me, but I assume that it's not been zoned as flood zone along in front of my depot.
Yeah, those have just recently gone through council and they're going to be gazetted shortly, I believe.
The flood zones,
Yeah,
so that everyone can see.
Yeah.
I think that needs to just happen, but obviously, this is another thing I think we all need to be aware of. Nothing happens quickly in this world. Yes, the questions and answers, and we can't give all the answers here because we can't afford to give the wrong answer, because all of a sudden that, is out on the street. We cannot afford to give a wrong answer, so we have to take things on notice and make sure that you get the right overlay, and that's all been ticked off with, within here, and then it's got to be ticked off with the state government, and all of that has to happen before we can officially put something out to the public. So therefore, really, we're sitting ducks until that's out to the public. But I think the sooner we can get that out there, that will answer your question as to whether you put that in and as to where that challenge might end up. We get a bit more of a guide.
It has a block number, so when I apply, I put the block number in, pay your $50 and hope that I don't have any other problems in putting another house there.
Yeah, and again, we won't know until we see the application, so I can't give any advice.
That's a question I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Because there was a house there.
Yeah.
And really, I couldn't have any trouble in putting another house there. But anyway, we'll find out. So
I would assume
whether any paperwork's got to go around the circle 2,000 times before I can get the permit. But anyway, that's my question. Thank you.
Oh, okay, we're at the end of our time allotted for this. Does anyone have any prepared to move the motion? Moved by Councillor Hicks, seconded by Councillor Precklove.
Can I have a 5-minute break?
A 5-minute break. I think we shall adjourn the meeting. Oh, well, we've got to pass this resolution first. Resume standing orders.
All in favour.
That is carried. We shall adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes.
The agenda for the last council meeting.
5.2 up to 6. Over 6, the delegates reports. Again, mine actually might look a little bit thin this time because I have actually just had a bit of a holiday. So, but I did still attend quite a number of things. There's a couple here that weren't on list, and that was the regional mayors and CEOs meeting. And again, that was quite a productive little session there. And it's always good to actually have those little regional meetings where you can actually learn from each other and actually come up with solutions to shared problems in a lot of ways. So they're actually quite really beneficial meetings. The other one, again, was the Goroka Lions Club and their district governor visit and their handover. And again, that was an excellent night held there. It was good to be in a room full of supportive people. I didn't hear a negative word against the council all night. In fact, there was actually quite a lot of positive things being said. And again, we really are thankful for our service clubs in our communities. We know how much good work they do. And the Lions Club of Goroka are a great example of that. And we know they get them early there from Apex, and they've got a very large Apex club. And hopefully a few of those ones who are retiring from Apex will keep that Lions Club going for a long time too. So well done to everyone there. And the rest we can take as read. Councillor Bretlove.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I feel like I've had a very busy time, and simply Tim has been away, which everyone's allowed to have their little holiday. So I'll just run through. Firstly, it must have just missed the volunteer tea, the morning tea down here at Edenhope, because that's not listed. But we did also have a volunteer morning tea in Coniva, and they were good to be at, actually, just to hear from our volunteers and just to, really a lot was spoken about our transition with our aged care services, and the volunteers that we have really wanting to continue their volunteering. And there's just a process that we are working with the volunteers to get them back in and doing what they want to do. It is a process, simply as we've all talked about, rules and regulations. Everybody's got to be covered in this world. And when you're volunteering for an organisation, you also have to be covered in this world. So, and I guess where I can understand this is a lot of our volunteers have been doing it a long time and they do a great job, but it is important that those few boxes are ticked so that if something doesn't go to plan, that as particularly elderly that are maybe transporting people and whatever, that everybody's covered it. So that was, anyway, that was good. It was good timing really to have those morning teas, to hear, and get that feedback from our volunteers. We've had our council plan community drop-in sessions, and I think this is probably the best concept, the way we've gone about really developing and getting the wider community's input in this. We spent a morning at Apsley and then on to Goroka and then on to Harrow. And each of those sessions, I believe, they were really well supported. And some great feedback. So I thought that was really good. Then we went on to Coniva and Serviceton and ended in Edenhope. They were all sort of a little bit different, the way each of them ran, but it was still good to hear from as many as we did. So I thank everybody that took time to have an input into our, developing our council plan. We continued with a workshop. We had a meeting with Telstra last week, and I found that was really interesting. Oh my goodness, how things are evolving in that world. I don't think anyone would keep up. Hoping we might still get a couple of Telstra towers in our black spots, but somehow I think the development might beat the towers. We'll just see where that pans out, but there's incredible stuff going on in that space, and I mean that space up there. A CMAC meeting, that's something that we do regularly every quarter, and then again, I think every quarter, but we've just had our big CMAP meeting where we discuss KPIs and things with our CEO. So that's all been a really positive outcome. And then Friday, I went to Goroke, to the Goroke Farm Community Forum, where they had 4 guest speakers. It was a really, really good day. There would have been 80 people there, and it was just a good day out. So I won't go any further on that. On the 28th of, it must have been last month, I had a meeting. David and I were in this meeting. It was actually a parliamentary inquiry into fraud and corruption. So I didn't really know what to expect. I've never been in a meeting like that and at that level. I very quickly realised just the level it was. There were 6 councils that had been randomly chosen, and mayors and CEOs. I think I was the only deputy mayor then. But the one thing that I was just so relieved about in that meeting, I soon worked out why we have all of these policies, processes, procedures in place, because believe me, I felt there were a couple umming and erring, and I didn't think that they perhaps had things all ticked off like we do. The other thing that I found that I really, really like the fact that we have processes in place of conflict of interest. It's a huge thing that the government and our ministers are checking on as conflict of interest, and it can get everybody, you can get caught up in probably a space you don't want to get caught up in without conflict of interest. So I was very pleased that in the last 4 years that we've had David as our CEO, he has strongly implemented processes, policies, guidelines, frameworks that we come back to, so that there's no, oh, that'll be all right. It's everything goes back to our policies, and really I wouldn't like to be doing what we do here without that to sit by us. So that's the big take I took out of that. And I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Higg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of alterations perhaps, or edits to my program. I also attended the volunteer meeting in Edenhope, which I think was a really valuable exercise. I didn't attend Harrow, Caniva and Serviceton council plan drop-ins. I was there in spirit, but not necessarily in the flesh. But I did get updates from various councillors at the end of those sessions. The one meeting I went to that's perhaps a little different from everyone else's was the Rail Freight Alliance meeting in Melbourne, which I regularly attend. At each of these events, they always have a guest speaker. On this occasion, it was the Chief Executive Officer from Innovation Victoria, whose responsibility is often to advise the government on policy or innovations that might affect the state government departments, or other organisations within the state. Even though the meeting was to do with rail freight, we did spend quite a lot of time talking to the Innovation Victoria guy about roads, which is no surprise to anyone. We all know they're bloody horrible. But also, perhaps more interestingly, talking about the fact that all of us who drive petrol or diesel vehicles are paying a fuel excise tax, and those who have electric vehicles are exempt. And we did point out the unfairness of that. I was not aware that the High Court overruled any current taxes on EVs. Apparently it's not in the legislation, and therefore they can't be forced to make any contribution towards the wear and tear on roads, even though they've got 4 tyres just like everyone else. But I do believe that might change in the future. but we also talked about a full user pays system where in principle you should be able to get rid of the fuel excise registration, road tolls, freeway, motorway tolls and all of that. And using AI and transponders on each individual car, you'll be charged a certain amount per kilometre that you use on particular standards of roads. So that might say, let's say the Western Highway might be more expensive to drive on because it's bigger and faster and better surface. We know that's a joke, but in principle, it should be better than maybe a little C-class road around here. And that will also encourage road users, particularly truck, to work out, are they better off using the main roads and pay a bit more because the surface is better, that's faster and all of that, and coming down, let's say, the Kaniva-Edenhope Road and chopping the shit out of it because they don't have to pay to use it anyhow and it's shorter and it's a bit cheaper. But, you know, because we know the maintenance on that's probably going to be higher per vehicle, the road tax or the road usage fee on that might be more, and they'll be encouraged to go, let's say, from here to Horsham and down to Portland rather than chopping up all the roads. Those sorts of things are very possible, and it was a very interesting discussion. And again, as Jody said, there are so many things in the pipeline to do with communications, to do with AI. Telstra brought it out in their discussions they had with us, and this certainly came out in the EV discussions with the Rail Freight Alliance. I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hobbs.
Yeah, so very busy time. Last night I went to the Kaniva Sporting Complex meeting, which was really good. It is an amazing community asset. You've got the gym, you've got basketball, badminton, squash, the hockey use it, the school use it all the time. And it's a very proactive committee that's there. They're doing stuff all the time to try and do their best to improve it. Dylan, I think, is doing an amazing job. He's had a 120% increase on gym memberships, and then hopefully that will continue to grow as well. The coffee and chats that I've been running, I did one in Edenhope, Harrow and Kaniva this month, and it was good to see so many people that are, you know, coming along to those things and just trying to engage in a conversation. I attended with Councillor Richard Hicks the Farmer Mental Health Day out at Broughton Hall, which again, that was a really good initiative. That's had 130 people attend. Also went with Councillor Richard Hicks and my husband as well.
I felt I had to share her at least sometimes.
To Garage Girls in the Shire Hall, which was a brilliant production put on with Link Neighbourhood House in conjunction with Birchip as well. So they were still like sharing the costs, but it was just so good to see community assets being used and to see those productions being well supported. I did 2 volunteer thank yous with Councillor Jody, and you know, some of those people had volunteered for over 30 years, and you know, we're just going, look, you know, we'll just call it a day. So I think it was a very valuable exercise to do that. And then I also did tried to do the volunteer onboarding with the Meals on Wheels. It didn't go as well as what we thought it was going to do because it's actually more complicated, but hopefully there's another session that is going to be put on in maybe a week or two's time. And the Youth Mental Health Forum that they ran with Dr. Michael Carr-Gregg, that was at the Kaniva Community Hub, that was attended by people like all around the whole of West Wimmera and neighbouring towns too. So yes, we were just really fortunate to have him. The Scars of Fire photographic exhibition, which was highlighting the ESB levy, that's been something that I think has been really good in just trying to balance. This is what happened. This is the outcome of the fire, and then he was a photographer and he put together some of the protests. and then I dropped them into the Caniva Fire Brigade to give them as a historical thing. And the other thing I attended, which is really, really useful and helpful, the Australian Local Governments Women's Association, they're doing various Zoom meetings. And it's just nice to know that, you know, we're actually, all of these councils all around Australia are having very similar problems. So that is really helpful. And a lot of what they're talking about, it's dealing with the incivility. So it's about trying to, you know, do the respectful conversations and, you know, look at the strategic questions. So, yeah, that's from me.
Thank you, Councillor Hobbs. Councillor Houlihan?
Very
Thank you,
dashing,
Mr.
Tom.
Mayor.
Very dashing.
Thank you. I'm wearing this helmet, hard hat for a reason.
Doesn't look very wordy, Tom.
I hope the press are tuned in and listening. On the 26th of the 7th, I went to Melbourne, Moonee Valley. Quite an effort for me. It's an area of Melbourne I don't know, but we had a meeting of not in our name, and the relationship of that name is all the 79 councils in Victoria have all got to collect a tax, the emergency services tax. And when people get their rates, in that will be this emergency services tax. I'm pleading with you, because it's in the rates, in our case it's West Wimmera, it's nothing to do with the 5 councillors, the CEO. This is direct legislation from the state government. People have got to realise that, or councillors will be getting around with hard hats on and bulletproof vests. It's going to set Victorians back, full stop. Like we're struggling in this state at the moment. I don't have to tell anyone that. But when you get this extra tax, but the people that have put it on you aren't collecting it. They've handed the dirty work over to the 79 shires in this state, the 79. My situation, I was born in 1950, sorry. I was born in 1950. I've been getting off and on fire trucks as a volunteer for 62 years. And basically what's happened to me now, I've got to pay to hop off and on a fire truck. I've got to pay to be a volunteer. I believe this is a very, very unjust tax. And I hope that the state government will look at this again. I'm pleading with the government to revisit this and see what they're doing. Look, the fact of the matter is, yes, our emergency services need money, but to penalise our volunteers to raise this money is just not acceptable. I won't say any more on that because I'm starting to get a bit stirred. On the 21st of the 7th, down here at the Eden Hope Hall, I went to the Eden Hope Seniors and Volunteers meeting. Very good meeting, actually. Very good meeting. And maybe they're the sort of things the ideas that came out of that were very good. And the ideas that came out of our community money community meetings on how we should spend our money, our rates. Very well attended. I went to the 6 of them around the place, and I just thank everyone that turned up to those meetings. It's no good sitting in the pub and whinging about the way the Shire's spending your money. You've got to go to those meetings, and they were very well attended too. So I thank our ratepayers for their attendance and the support too in relation to those meetings. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Hawhan, just checking through our governance rules. I know under the standing order of the Parliament you can't use a prop, but I'll allow it in this case.
At least it wasn't a bit cold.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Now,
Mr. Mayor, if somebody turns nasty, I'll go with me.
You can be the back.
Thank you, Councillor William. Item 7, condolences.
Yes, thank you.
So you're wondering why I wore it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I note with some sadness the recent death on the 13th of August this year of Mrs. Elizabeth Lila Allsop, better known as Betty Allsop, from Surbiton. Some of you, certainly some of the older members here, might remember Gordon and Betty, who ran the Surbiton store for 34 years and were very highly regarded within the Surbiton community. Unfortunately, Gordon passed away 2.5 years ago. Perhaps more importantly, as a councillor, I'd like to acknowledge Betty's contribution as a councillor between 1978 and 1983 on the Shire of Coniva. And those of us who knew her will know that she was a very, very strong advocate for Surbiton. So I'd like to move a motion, Mr. Mayor, that council writes a letter of condolence to the family of Mrs. Elizabeth Lila Allsop, Betty, and extend the sympathies of this council to her family. Thank you.
Is that seconded? Seconded by Councillor Pretlow. Any further discussion required? I'll just add another point there that Betty was the second female councillor on the Shire of Coniva, and she, as you said, she was a very, very strong advocate for the Surbiton community. So, yeah. All those in favour? That is carried. Item 8, confirmation of the previous minutes.
Moved.
On the council meeting held Wednesday, the 16th of July. That is being moved by Councillor Hicks. Then I've read seconded by Councillor Pretlow. No discussion required. All in favour? That is carried. We have no business arising. Have we received any notice of motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Council forum record from,
You can be first.
from Wednesday, the 6th of August 2025. Someone prepared to move? Moved by Councillor Pretlow, seconded by Councillor Hicks. No discussion required. That is carried. Have we received any deputations or petitions? We'll move to item 13, 13.1, the Wimmera Southern Valley Development Membership.
Mr. Mayor, I think everybody is aware of the changes in Wimmera Southern Valley development. Council has previously made a decision to effectively give notice to exit sort of out of the organisation in 12 months. There's obviously been further developments for them to change to a different structure, and this will basically require council to actually approve a resignation, and we do have an officer recommendation. I think it's otherwise the report's take as read.
Yeah, thank you. We have a recommendation there. It's moved by councillor Hicks.
With some additions, if I may, Mr Mayor, from what's published. Perhaps if I read it out, that council, number one, approve the resignation of Western Shire Council's membership from the Wimmera Southern Valley Development Limited, following which councillor Tim Mear will cease to be a director. And point two, to authorise the necessary letter of resignation and any other required documentation to be completed by the mayor accordingly.
Okay.
I'm happy to second that.
Seconded by councillor Pretlow. Does the mover wish to speak?
Just to say that this has been discussed in council previously. This is more a formality in finalising the documentation required at the time. It was decided by council that the benefits we were deriving from being a member of this group was much less, or we were not getting value for the money that we were paying to be a member. And it was considered that with limited financial means, our money for such memberships could be better used elsewhere.
Second, wish to speak?
No, to support councillor Hicks's comments. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to make a comment? I will just make one quick comment here, because the motion don't directly refer to me. It is not a conflict of interest because this is as my delegation as a council, so as a group of council, so that's just that clear to everyone? Mover wish to sum up.
Oh, thank you.
Well, put it to the vote then, all in favour? That is carried. Item 14.1, the community engagement policy.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. So the community engagement policy has now been out for 28 days for community feedback. We didn't receive any feedback.
Obviously,
there was one change within the policy and a couple of some minor edits in regards to grammatical errors and spelling. But the main change was that the community consultation or engagement would be available for a minimum of 21 days, and that was moved down from 28 days. And it was felt that this would allow us to conduct community engagement within meeting periods and come back to the next council meeting with a result from community engagement. So that's the main change. Is there any other question or any questions?
Any questions from anyone? If not, there is a recommendation. Councillor Hicks.
I'm happy to move the recommendation that we adopt the attached community engagement policy.
Second that. Second by councillor Hobbs. Does the mover wish to speak?
Just to reaffirm what Dalton has said, the policy really is 99% what we've previously been using, except that by reducing from 28 days to 21 days, the community consultation period, it does allow council to decide at one meeting to put documents or reports out for community consultation, to get those reports back within the 21 days, to assess them, analyse them, and then have them confirmed or whatever in the next council meeting, which will streamline the process. Otherwise, we've got to wait 2 months, and that's often not very convenient. So that's why I'm very happy, Mr Mayor, to move this motion.
Yes, I think we should speak.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, when you actually read the whole document, there's a lot of really, really good stuff in it. Things like, you know, participants in community engagement must be representative of the people and the groups affected by the matter that is the subject of the community engagement. So I just think it's really important that, you know, this is not just a policy, but we actually put it into action, that we bring the community along with them, because we know that communities know what is best for them. It is based on the International Association of Public Participation recommendations, along that model of things like inform, consult, involve, collaborate, and empower. And there's little sentences that you can read, which, you know, define what those words mean. So particularly projects that have long-term effect, you know, that there is deliberative engagement, particularly where there is community concern or community division. And I've also received a number of really good feedbacks. I think the community plans that we did just recently with the community engagement sessions in 6 towns were really good to hear directly from people, and then just to read all of those responses that they wrote in the surveys. But, you know, things like the swimming pool committee just recently, the RSL committee, the dog park meeting, all of those sort of things where this council is going back to the actual stakeholders. I've had some really good positive feedback from 3 groups just recently that the council has engaged with.
Just further to Councillor Hobbs, I think too the other bit here was the level of community engagement. I think that's really worth, if anybody feels like looking at any of our policies, the level in which council, depending on the decision to be made or whatever it is that is being discussed, there's inform, consult, involve, collaborate and empower. So there's 5 different, I guess, different categories almost of the level of community engagement. So earlier when, you know, I think this is just another good policy that we have, and it's important to have, particularly when, you know, we, you know, do have inquiries at times. This is our fallback position on how we go about things. So I'm very supportive of this, this policy. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? The mover wish to sum up? If not, put it to the vote then. All in favour? That is carried. 14.2 sponsorships and community grant applications.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. We've received 3 applications for sponsorship and grant applications. They are from all 3 town shows within our shire, the Edenhope Ag Society Show, Kaniva Agricultural and Pastoral Society Show, and Goroka Agricultural and Pastoral Society Show. All 3 have requested $1,200, and all 3 have been assessed as meeting the criteria for the grant applications.
Any questions?
Yeah, so I realise this is part of our, you know, our community grants, or the community grants that we offer. So each of these grants will be acquitted. That's
part
through
of the process,
yeah,
that they acquit the funds.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone prepared to move?
I'm happy to move and support these groups. Thank you. Move the officer recommendation. Thank you.
All 3 grants?
Yes.
Yep. Councillor Hawley, you're seconding?
All 3 grants, please.
Yep. Does the mover wish to speak?
Only that this is, yeah, I think it's really important. They've all been running for a long time. Our shows, they're a really important part of what I guess we have to offer in our shire, and they're run completely by volunteers. So I think it's really nice to have some money out there, and again, it goes through our acquittal process, which is in line with our granting policies. So I think it's really positive. Thank you.
Second, wish to speak?
3 volunteer organisations running our agricultural shows. These are the events that are getting less and less throughout the state of Victoria, throughout Australia. So it's good to see that West Wimmera Shire is supporting the 3 that are running. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
I might make a brief comment, Mr. Mayor. I think, as the others have said, these agricultural shows are a very important focal point of the community. It brings people together. It often brings a lot of people from outside as a sort of an annual get-together event. Although I must say, for those of us who are a little bit geriatric, it's just not the same without the boxing tent. Poor bugger can absolutely smash.
Councillor Hobbs.
Yep. I will say they brought it back in to Horsham, so never say never.
Oh.
Anyway, the thing with it is, I think a lot of people don't realise that we're giving them $1,200, but that is, in all honesty, 5%, if not less, from the total financial running costs of running a show. And that does not include the massive amount of volunteer work that goes behind it. That money that we are giving for Garoke, they're utilising, sorry, for Edenhope, they're utilising that towards a science show. For Kaniva, it's a super tank. For Garoke, it's a Stockman's challenge, potentially fireworks. I mean, all of these things cost money. And yeah, I just think we've just got to, it's such a small token contribution to give.
But important.
Yeah.
Does the mover wish to sum up?
No, thank you.
We're not put it to the vote. All in favour? That is carried. 14.3, financial report for Q4.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So I'll just give a quick brief overview of this and then go to questions. But the reason why these reports are interim is because they are for Q4, so the end of the financial year, 30 June 2025, which means they are unaudited at this stage, which means they're subject to change by request of our auditors. In terms of financial performance, we adopted a reforecast budget on the 28th of March 2025, and we've come in pretty close to that budget. There are some favourable variances to budget, an additional income that was budgeted for in regards to some work that we did on the fire grounds during January, and also some works we did for Vic Roads, which we were successful in attaining the work schedule for, which the works teams did a great job on the Kaniva Edenhope Road shoulder widening, which had a positive impact to our income. In regards to a number of audit changes, we have had our auditors here as of the 11th of August. They have requested a number of changes, and one in particular is we have received some financial assistance grants for the 2026 financial year. We received that in late June in the 2025 financial year. Because that money doesn't have any legal obligation for us to do anything for it, there is an expectation or a requirement for us to recognise that revenue in the 2025 financial year. That is $4 million, so it is a significant portion of our income, of our financial assistance grants for the 2026 financial year, 50% of it, and it has a major impact on our financial reporting. That information or that money has not been recognised in the financial reports that have been presented because of the timing of the requests from audit. And providing if we didn't receive the 2027 financial assistance grants early in the same timing, it would have a significant financial impact on our reporting next year or in the 2026 financial year. And that does have a significant impact on the way we report our income. So there is an expected change to the reports that we will issue in our annual report. There's some other things that we need to do in regards to reconciliation of assets, which we've reported an $800,000 positive variance on our gain of disposal of assets. That's likely to come down significantly when we reconcile the written down value of assets that have been disposed of in the period. Yeah, that's the main crux of it.
Any questions?
Sorry, Dalton, I know you've just explained the $4 million, almost $4 million that we received very late. I think that was what, the 29th or something.
That's when the cash hit back.
Yeah, we you know, so we had, I realised we had to do, you know, put everything together expecting not to get that, and it was a nice surprise to get that then. Not knowing what we were going to get then, I believe that's 50%, well, you've just said that. So the other 25%, exactly that.
50%, the other 50%.
Sorry,
yeah.
Sorry, 50%, sorry.
25 for you, 25 for the Shire.
Exactly, the other 50%. So I know I asked you this before, but I think it's important for everybody to know, you know, when we are likely or expecting to get that.
Yep. So we're at the mercy of the federal government passing that information, passing that funds down to the state government and then passing that on to us. At this stage, we're expecting to receive that in 4 equal payments over the end, around about the mid to end of each quarter is when we'll receive the balance of that. So in 4 equal payments.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Any further questions?
No, not for me.
I'm happy to move the motion, but I do believe we should insert the word interim before financial report in terms of the office recommendation.
Absolutely, because we will bring back the final audited statements to council.
So the council receives and notes the interim financial report for Q4 2024-5, including the annual plan update. And I'm happy to move that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Wood, for seconding.
Mr. Blue.
There's a motion to speak.
Only to thank Dalton and his team once again preparing these rivetingly, no, I shouldn't say that. I read them avidly every night when I'm a little sleepless. But you know, these reports are really, really critical in maintaining our good reputation within the state government. They are legislative requirements. They take a lot of work. And it's no easy process, and it's not helped when the feds and the state government say they're not going to pay, and then they pay, and then they say they're not going to, and then they think about it. It really does churn up the books, and I think you've done a remarkable job in getting our financial reports, our interim financial report to this stage, and relatively early. We're only 6 weeks into the new financial year. So please pass on our thanks to you and your team for the work done. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Second, I wish to speak.
Well done, Dalton and staff. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Bradley.
Again, as well, thank you to Dalton and team. And the other bit that I really appreciate that is part of the, particularly the reports, profit and loss and balance sheet, etc., is the notes at the bottom that just explain when, you know, anything is exceeded. I think it kicks in when it exceeds over what percentage? 20?
About 10%.
So it's good to have those notes so that it's easier for me to follow and see exactly where, if things haven't tracked exact, but there's not too many notes there. So I think that's really good, and appreciate the work you do. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Yeah, no, I just think we're really fortunate to have someone of Dalton's calibre in this position, and it was great to meet the new finance officer as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, Jason. Yes. Sorry.
Lurking in the corner in case the mud starts to flow.
Thank you, Dalton. You certainly joined the organisation at a challenging time, and I know there's a lot of work and there's been a lot of things going on here and a lot of moving pieces, and well done on putting it all together. I think it needs to be recognised that the federal government intervening and bringing that FAGS payment forward has actually totally changed everything. All the stories that we're getting around town and all the complete rumours that the Shire's broke and we're all bloody buggered and all this sort of thing, it was all based on the fact that the federal government or the state government wasn't passing on the $7.9 million that we were anticipating. We've now received $4 million of that. All of a sudden, we're going to show that we've made a great big profit last year. Now, before people get ahead of themselves, that profit is going to be used in next year's budget. It is not just money that we've banked up, but it is all the stories of doom and gloom were completely unfounded and completely untrue. So again, well done for all the work everyone involved in this. Does who wish to sum up?
Merely to point out to Dalton that I never used the term smoke and mirrors on this particular occasion, but I'm sure there'll be ample opportunity in the future.
That's just accounting treatments.
Yeah. Put us to the vote then. All in favour? That is carried. We move to item 14.4, the primary producer support payments program.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. So the state government has issued obviously some funding or support out there for the drought. We are in the interesting and position where only part of our shire was declared drought for this purpose, which has been quite frustrating and difficult to kind of manage. The criteria for the support payment was the 4 postcodes held within the report. And it's very interesting boundaries. So what you see here is you'll have neighbours that will be eligible and other neighbours that won't be. Parts of postcodes, particularly around the Douglas area, kind of come into well under Harrow sections. So you'll have, again, people that are further west and people that are further east will get it and west won't, and then vice versa, north and south. It's really complex, but unfortunately what we've had to do is draw a line somewhere, and we are taking the advice from the state government in terms of eligibility for that 40% rate reduction. So our recommendation is, per the recommendation from the state, is for a 40% rate reduction for those that are eligible or registered as primary producers, and that their property postcode is registered within the 4 postcodes. Quite frustrating. There was lobbying done, I know, at multiple levels to designate our whole shire as drought. So far that hasn't happened, and it's quite frustrating, but in the same sense, to get something is a positive step.
Any questions? Go.
With this, I know that we've been advised of the postcodes of where the land falls. Is there any other criteria as far as financial, what's the word? Financial position? Do people,
So the only 2 criteria are that the property falls within that postcode, and that the land usage, so the AVPCC, I can't tell you what that acronym is for, but is essentially the land usage is primary production. That is the only 2 criteria.
Okay.
Yeah, so AVPCC. Okay, well, okay, on that. There's next.
I better make it into a question. Is it true that whilst these farmers within these postcodes get a 40% rate reduction, it doesn't mean the Shire is going to miss out on that revenue, that 40% of revenue that has been offered to these farmers will be reimbursed by the state government. So the net gain or loss by the overall Shire is 0. It's just those farmers are getting 40%, and the government, on the other hand, will reimburse us the 40. And it's certainly going to create some interesting discussions between neighbours as to who got it and who didn't. And a 40% rate reduction is certainly not insignificant when you're talking about farming properties, that are often, paying multiple thousands of dollars in rates. So it's a question.
So I can answer the question here. So to answer the question, so this money will be received by council, and it will be put on eligible people's rate notice as a partial payment already received. So the council will still receive its full rates cash contingent. Part of that will be paid by the state government for those eligible, and the rest will be paid by the landowner. So that's yes. The answer is yes. Yep. And we are about to issue our rates notices. So post this meeting, and
don't rush.
Those that are eligible will see the payment on their rates notice.
I'm happy to move the recommendation if there's no more questions, Mr. Mayor.
Well, just do one question. Do you think it would be a good idea if we continue to lobby the government to make this Shire-wide?
Absolutely.
Given the administration challenge that it's been, and we are really thankful for the work the staff has done, but
I think beyond
it hasn't come easy. Yeah.
I think beyond the administrative component, who's to say a neighbour 50 metres over a fence is not doing just as bad as a neighbour 50 metres down the road?
When nothing's means tested, you can't prove anything. Yeah.
So absolutely would support that. Yeah. And I know other shires just over the border who have received nothing. Their Shire-wide are also quite devastated to receive nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I'll move the.
Well, I think Councillor Hicks has foreshadowed a
right.
motion.
I got it first.
Okay.
Okay. I'd like to move the first 2 resolutions as per written, and I'd like to add a point 3, that council continues to lobby government to expand the drought declaration area to cover the whole of West Wimmera Shire.
Anyone prepared to second that? Councillor Hobbs, you're seconding. Mr. Mover, wish to speak?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. It's a really peculiar situation. I think most of us who travel around the Shire realise that it doesn't matter in which area, north or south, east or west within the Shire, we've all been suffering from a period of drought and drought conditions, which has caused quite a lot of hardship to farmers and farming communities, as well as causing hardship to commercial and other businesses. And I think it's really unfortunate and very narrow-sighted on the part of the government that they've decided to split the Shire in some really bizarre way and say, yeah, you neighbour, you're in drought, you on the other side is not. It's very ambiguous. It's very divisive. I think it's a shame. Good luck to those who are getting the 40% rate reduction. But if your neighbour's a bit bloody grumpy when they don't get it, then don't blame the Shire. We will continue to lobby for what I think is a fair assessment of the drought conditions throughout the whole Shire. Thank you.
Yeah, the second wish to speak.
Yeah, no, just to say that, it is look, Hindmarsh, Yarriambiack, Bullockshire, Forthamshire, none of them have that either. But, and even for our farm, we've just been in drought for, I don't know how long. There's no water in the dam whatsoever. It's just a shame. We're trying to work as one West Wimmera, and then we've got this north-south divide that is happening, and just that idea of pitting neighbour against neighbour. I think that's a great idea to just try and advocate.
Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Greatwell.
Support the other two councillors' comments. Whilst, it's always good to get some support from our state government, it is very hard to understand how this was all picked, how this has been put together, particularly, when I know that there's been tough times, and I believe it's been right across the Shire. How you go when you're that neighbour and you just have missed out. I find that's really tough. I feel that possibly a 20% across the whole lot might have worked a bit, but look, I'm not begrudging anything. I understand it's been, I think, 2 years really of something that's probably, I don't know, maybe there could be people in the room that could help me as to whether it's been seen in our, in the south of the Shire and certainly southeast of South Australia, and just what really has gone on. I think that everybody, it'll be interesting, the pub talk with this one, because I believe there won't be a farmer in this Shire that will probably wonder and as to why, or our state government is happy to rip it out of one hand and hand it back in another. And with this emergency service volunteer levy, I think that scrapping that, we'd all be much happier to see than to be picking bits and pieces out of when we've had a tough time like this. And but we can't change this. It's something that it's money back into the Shire that will help some, so I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to fully support the Shire in their efforts to get this Shire-wide. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, many of us are acutely aware that the drought has extended across the Shire. You can look at rainfall charts from the previous year and it almost outlines the Shire with the lowest ever recorded rainfall. You only have to look at the heaps of grain in certain areas last year. They're only half as full as they were the year before. There's hardly a hay shed with a bale of hay left in it. People have been really battling. And while we are grateful for the state government to finally recognise this, it's taken 2 years. It doesn't go far enough. And when you mention the Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund, that's going to take nearly $5 million out of our shire. This is only bringing back in 1.1 million to support our farmers. 95% of that money is going to come from farmers. So it's robbing Peter and Paul to pay no one. That's what's going on here. So again, we still got to keep fighting this, and we still got to keep expressing our frustration, because as grateful as we are for receiving the small amount of support, it does not recognise the reality on the ground, and it doesn't tell the bigger picture story of what they're actually planning to do to us. Does the mover wish to sum up?
Yeah, just to add to everyone's comments, Mr. Mayor, by maybe the need to remind government that for many farmers within the Shire, they'll not receive any payments for the next 4 or 4.5 months until harvest, which probably on a good basis might be, mid-December or thereabouts, before they get a harvest starting to come in and be able to sell that grain. And for some strange reason, the bills just don't seem to stop, and they need to be paid. So we are still in crisis. We look outside and it's green, but it doesn't mean the money's flowing yet for another 4 or 4.5 months. I think the government needs to be reminded of that. I think they also need to be reminded of the overall mental health issues that these sorts of seasons create. I do believe there is a lot of mental health stress, a lot of people who are really, really struggling, not just financially but mentally. And I think we need, as a community, to look out for our neighbours, look after our joint well-being, and maybe keep on asking, are you okay? It's a really simple question, and I think the guys are probably worse than the women in terms of admitting when the stresses become overwhelming. So hopefully the government might recognise that and be a little bit more unilaterally supportive of the whole Shire. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Put to the vote. All in favour? That is carried.
Mr. Mayor, just quickly, AVPCC is Australian Valuation Property Classification Code.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
That's why we use it.
APPOJK is much better.
That's why we
guys.
Bye.
14.5, the Audit and Risk Committee meeting minutes.
So report as read. Recommendation is that the council receive the draft minutes for the Audit and Risk meeting held on the 10th of June 2025.
Happy to move.
Moved by Councillor Preglow. Seconded by Councillor Hicks. Is there any discussion required?
No, I am part of this committee, and I've read through the minutes and happy to those. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Yeah, just very briefly, if I may, Mr. Mayor. We keep on talking about checks and balances and the need to, control what's going on. The Audit and Risk Committee is one of those very essential committees that we have that provide real professional external advice and an auditing service for our, the Shire finances. They do a great job, and we as councillors are very grateful for their input. And of course, they rely on Dalton and team to provide that input, but they do provide a very valuable service. And it's good to see that we've got the minutes to review, and I'm happy to support the recommendation.
Anyone else wish to speak? Wish to sum up then? Put it to the vote. All in favour? That is carried. 15.1, update of road register.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council is aware that council is required to manage its road network under the legislation pertaining to the Road Management Act 2024. Part of the Road Management Act requires us to have a road management plan, which we recently adopted. And beneath that plan sits a register of public roads. So this report is asking council to consider reviewing and amending the register of public roads, also to advertise to the public if they have any additions or amendments they'd like to make. The staff have gone through the current plan and made a list of recommendations there that we've identified. But I guess the key part of this is we invite comments from the public and then bring that back to a future meeting of council as well.
Any questions? If not, with the recommendations, anyone prepared to move?
Oh, yeah, might as well get it in big. Get on the block.
Move on 10 points.
Yes, please. God, we don't want to discuss each one separately. People midnight.
I'm happy to second that.
No, thank you very much.
This, I guess, will go up for the 21 days. Could you just say that, Brendan, or not? 21 days rather than the 28, would that change?
Well, prior, it brings it to a subsequent meeting, I guess. If we do 21 days, it could come back to September.
No.
Yep, sounds good. Yep.
Very good. Anyone else want to speak? Not put it to the vote, all in favour? That is carried. Fifteen point two, the property acquisition policy.
Mr. Mayor, so this report is bringing to council a new policy. This has come about as a result of a previous audit on council's processes and procedures that's been talked about earlier today, suggesting that it would be part of an improvement plan under council's asset plan that we have an acquisition policy, a property acquisition policy, I should highlight. So it's really just pertaining to in the circumstances where council might have a mind to purchase a property. Not something that comes up very often, but this policy will guide council and staff on the processes and procedures to follow in doing that, largely around how we get it valued, how we go about navigating the purchasing and the mechanics of that.
Any questions?
I'll move.
It's moved by, the recommendation has been moved by councillor Hicks. Is anyone prepared to second that? Seconded by councillor Pretlove. So wish to speak.
Just briefly, this is another policy within our overall policy portfolio. I do note that there's also a property disposal policy, and so together they complement each other and complete that loop, if you like, about the acquisition and disposal of any property that Shire may own or would like to own.
Second, wish to speak.
Only that, like every policy, I'm sure we'll see it again soon, because there will possibly be something that, particularly being a new policy, that may not be, mightn't be right, or we'll have to review, but it's a good start. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Well, to put to the vote, all in favour, that is carried. 15.3, provision of green waste, provision of a free green waste disposal period.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council since 2022, Western Shire has offered an annual free green waste fortnight at all of our transfer stations. This initiative was introduced to assist residents to get rid of any excess vegetation after typically the wetter winter period. Also helps to clean up and reduce fire hazards before the summer fire season, and gives people a chance to basically get rid of the disposed green waste and limits, gives them ability to not fill the general waste bin when it's growing faster. The community has responded well to this free period, and we're seeking endorsement of council to run it again from September the 27th to Sunday the 12th of October this year.
Any questions?
Just a question. Is the reason why we do this is because we don't have a green bin?
That would be one of the limited opportunities. You take, you've got a trailer or a ute, you can take your green waste to the transfer station, there's still a charge for that. If you can fit in the green bin, it's just covered under your domestic waste charge. But I think the bulk of this rubbish will be the people bringing it in trailers and utes, not the green bin. So.
And can you confirm for us that the state government won't let us just burn our rubbish anymore?
Well, if it's in the transfer station, it's considered it's a sort of licensed facility and there are limitations on what we can do. So all that rubbish has to be disposed of appropriately. We do currently shred our green waste and continue to stockpile it, and that's a cost. And we are looking for appropriate uses for that. Going forward, when they roll out what they call a FOGO service, which is legislated to come in 2027, that's food organics, green organics. There may be opportunities to process it regionally together with the other neighbouring councils into some sort of mulch product or composted product, I should say.
Happy to move the officer recommendation.
1 and 2.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Second that, Councillor Hobbs. You wish to speak?
Only, look, I think this is a good idea or a good concept. It was initiated a few years back from our past councillor, Councillor Bruce Mear, and the reasoning behind was this time of the year, grass often is growing, really quickly, and just to help an incentive to clean up blocks and to clean up, your whatever near your home for fire prevention, and the incentive is to have a free waste disposal without the charge. So I think it's a great idea, and hopefully it does exactly that. Thank you.
Second, wish to speak?
Yeah, I just hope it's, really well promoted and that people make the most of it. I know that last January there was an incredible amount of stress about the amount of just fire hazards all over the council area. So it's a great opportunity. Sorry, all over the general shire. Of just general rubbish that is just building up and dry grass and all of that sort of stuff. So it is a good opportunity for residents to make the most of it.
Wish to speak?
Yeah, I just think it's a great incentive, but not in January. In the season when you're cleaning up for fire precaution, if I can get rid of their green rubbish for nothing, I think it's a good start to get people involved in doing fire protection work. Obviously, the CFA, the way they're being treated, will be down on numbers. I think it's a great setup. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? If not, does the mood wish to sum up?
No.
We put to the vote then, all in favour, that is carried. 15.4, procurement policy review.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Under the Local Government Act 2020, councils are required to have a procurement policy, and it has to be reviewed at least every 4 years. It was last reviewed in 2021, so it is now due for review. It's been presented and attached to this report. Procurement policy does guide council officers in their principles, processes and procedures applying to the purchase of all goods, services and works by council. So it is a document heavily used by staff every day, and it's very key and critical to how we go about our duties. A couple of changes in this review. We've changed some of the thresholds to increase them in line with inflation. We've introduced a local benefit weighting to strengthen support for local and Indigenous businesses. And we took the opportunity to just clarify roles and responsibilities around conflict of interest provisions. We do have, being a small community, we have some staff who are employed here. We also have partners who contractors. So we have to have some clear guidelines around that.
Any questions?
I'm happy to move the officer recommendation.
You're not prepared to second. Councillor Hobbs, wish to speak?
Only to say to thank Brendan and his team for updating this. It has to be done every 4 years, as has been mentioned. It's good to get this one reviewed, and hopefully we won't see it again for another 4 years.
Anyone wish to speak?
No.
Just want to make a couple of quick comments. This does streamline a lot of processes as well, and makes life not only easier for our staff, but also for local businesses. When you had such low thresholds and you had to go out and call and get tenders off everyone, it just became a nuisance to people, knowing that, you know, you're not necessarily going to get the job, but you've got all these tenders out, and it was just a bit of a bureaucratic nightmare in a way. So hopefully this streamlines things a bit. And having that benefit there for local businesses as well as for indigenous businesses, I think is actually a positive step forward for this council, and I think that's going to be a good thing for this policy as well. So who wish to sum up?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We put it to the vote then, all in favour? That is carried. 15.5 West Wimmera Highway Action Committee Strategic Advocacy Priorities for the West Wimmera Shire Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. West Wimmera Shire Council is part of a committee called the Western Highway Action Committee. It's a group of about 11 councils between Caroline Springs and the South Australian border along the Western Highway corridor. It, strangely enough, does include Yarriambiack, I think, on there as well. That group has been together for quite a while, and they've had a previous strategic document. They've now called each council to produce the next 10-year strategic document. So for West Wimmera Shire, this is, well, they've circulated a template and asked each council to complete it, which we've done. We're just seeking council to adopt or agree that those actions in that template are council's priorities, and we'll submit that to the overall committee. Councillor Hicks is councillor rep on that committee, including and myself as a director. There are a couple of amendments in the recommendation coming from previously circulated to council that we include the incorporation of mobile or telecommunication black spots on any emergency detour routes as an issue. And we also highlight that there's an extensive network of wire rope barriers along the corridor between Horsham and the border, and it's very evident that when they get damaged, there's some time period lapses between when they get damaged and when they get repaired. So that does leave users of the road exposed, and so we're seeking more prompt maintenance on those wire rope barriers.
Any questions? Someone prepared to move? Moved by councillor Hicks. I'll second it. Whoever wishes to speak?
Yes, thank you, Brendan, for your summary. Western Highway Action Committee's been around for 4 years or so, could be more. It's a very interesting group, as been pointed out. It represents all those councils along the Western Highway from Caroline Springs to the border. This document will be used to incorporate all the suggestions from those 10 or 11 councils to lobby government, both state and federal, for funding, for upgrades, for consideration when we're discussing the movement of passengers, of goods, of freight. I think we're all aware of what a deplorable condition the whole of the Western Highway is in right now. And having a unified voice via WAC certainly multiplies the effect that an individual council can have on government when it comes to lobbying. The fact that it's all 10 or 11 shires, along the Western Highway has certainly got the attention of government in the past. I think by updating the priorities is necessary. And again, once it's done and all collated, it will be strongly pushed to state and federal governments for immediate remedial action and hopefully the duplication of the highway at least from Stawell to Buangor and ultimately from Stawell here to the border. So it's an important document, I think, mostly for the lobbying and advocacy towards government.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. I just want to say we are in the unique position that we are located on the end of the goat track. And a lot of our priorities do focus on that safety aspect that we seem to cop the worst of up our end. But at the same time, being part of this group, we're supportive of all upgrades on the highway. An upgrade at Caroline Spring is a benefit to us. An upgrade at Horsham is a benefit to us. So being part of this group is actually beneficial to us as a shire. It's not just trying to fix things just in our neck of the woods, even though we do recognise the safety issues that we do face here, or we do seem to get left to the end of the list on a lot of issues. But having this document is important, and well done to the WAC for putting it together. Anyone else wish to speak? Wish to sum up?
No, thank you very much.
If not, we'll put this to the vote. All in favour? That is carried.
We're almost there.
15.6, proposal to introduce medical waste assistance scheme for residents undergoing home dialysis and similar treatments.
Mr Mayor, so this is a new scheme or idea that's presented to Council for your consideration. At present, there is no formal support offered by Council to help anyone affected by in-home treatment that may require them or increase their generation of waste. We've had, through our staff, we've had a request to consider offering additional waste bins at no cost to the residents. And without this sort of scheme in place, we are very limited in how we can do that. So this is a scheme and a policy for Council's endorsement that will help staff deal with those applications. It does put in some rules and criteria around what is eligible. It will require a medical certificate from a doctor or hospital, and the resident has to be a local Western Shire council.
You want to move?
I've got a question.
Oh, you got a question?
Yeah,
Yep.
Sorry about that. I've confused the whole system. I know the answer, but that's all right. I'll pretend I don't. Brendan, is it true that not any hazardous waste is not part of this proposal, that will need to be disposed of through the existing medical disposal systems, but this is for non-hazardous waste, including dialysis bags and tubing and packaging and things like that?
Yes, Councillor Hicks, as you've outlined, we aren't intending to take any biohazard waste or medical waste. This is just around the packaging, the tubes, the additional paraphernalia that comes along with, say, home dialysis. And I'm not an expert in this field, but we've modelled this on other schemes that are around in Australia and available. The same limitations would apply even in the grant of permit. It will make it clear to the occupant that it's not to be.
No radioactive, no environmentally damaging.
Currently, there will be contractors servicing hospitals and health services to take that waste away, and that stays the same. This is about in-home processes.
I'm finding it hard how to get the question with this one, but the process, the criteria will be as simple as, less complicated as we can make it. I guess knowing it's a doctor's certificate, I would think that's probably enough, is it? You know what I mean?
So we'll have an application form, and they will, they need to be undergoing the treatment.
Yeah.
They will need the report of the letter of the doctor. they need to be a permanent resident of the
Yeah.
council area.
And that's about it.
Yeah, we need more information, we can always go back to
Yeah.
them, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yes, Alex?
And I presume council will provide an additional bin at no charge for those patients for as long as they need an additional bin.
Each application is for a 12-month period, and then if they need it ongoing, there'd be an annual review. And we wouldn't, if it.
And we'll provide a bin.
For the 12 months, it would be a new application, but they'll hang on to their bin in the meantime.
Yeah. I'm happy to move it, Mr. Mayor.
Good. Very like the seconding?
Yeah.
There's a mover wish to speak.
Yeah, just briefly, I think it's a really important move. There's more and more home treatments for people with medical conditions. It's the way the system's going. And I think it's important that council recognises that, and by providing an additional waste disposal service, hopefully will be a small gesture in terms of maybe reducing the stress and worry about ongoing medical treatments. Thank you.
Second wish to speak.
Very supportive, it might be like Councillor Hicks has suggested a small gesture, but I think it would mean a lot, really. It's certainly something we don't need people worrying about in these situations, so happy to support.
Anyone else wish to speak? Again, very, very happy to support this one. Again, we know we have an ageing population, and the more that we can keep people in our community, the better it is for everyone. So very happy to support this. It's something that doesn't come at a great cost to council. So move, wish to sum up.
No, thank you very much.
Put to the vote then, all in favour? That is carried. Item 16 is our sealing schedule, which we have none. Do we have any late items of business? Have no confidential reports, and with no further items on the agenda, the meeting is closed. Right. Valerie Phillips wants to hang around.